I swear every time I make a TBR, it just gets bigger and bigger. And scarier and scarier. Hi there, my name is Crystal and this is Books Forever After, where I sit on my floor, we talk about everything and all things books and nothing but the books. Okay, so another month, another TBR, and this TBR I am really excited because it's October and it's the start of the most best, favoritist, awesomest time of year. Which is the start of the fall and winter season. Let's talk about these books. Alright, so I am coming off of the highs from the romance readathon that was hosted by Maggie's Book and Stuff, and go Team Row, we won, that was awesome. But oh my gosh, I read 15 books in that month, and so I have no idea how October is going to go. I know I have quite a bit of things going on per usual. One of those being my sister is getting married, so she's at the end of the month, near the end of the month, so it's going to be interesting. It's also my wedding anniversary here in a few days, actually. What, 11 years now? So yeah. But yeah, there's just a lot going on, and as I mentioned a lot of times, but we also got a lot of books to talk about. The first book that I have is I went to the library as one does. So I went to the library with my son and we picked up some books, and I wasn't going to peruse and get a book to check out, but I did. And so I checked out for the library The Coven by Harper L. Woods. Now I had saw this in Target with the really pretty stenciled edges and things, but I just don't know if it's a book that I'll like, so I don't necessarily want to buy it. So that is why libraries are great. So I wanted to also physically read it, because sometimes checking out from the library with the ebook, I just find I am a physical book reader number one and always. Though I do love my Kindle, I wanted to read it physically. So I am just about, I want to say 10 or 20% on the way through. And so I will be reading this for this month, my first book that I'll hopefully read or finish this month, but we'll see how it goes. I understand that this is like a paranormal fantasy romance, so I think it's really dark romance, so about witches and I think demons and things like that. So it's giving me Sabrina the Teenage Witch one, the one from Netflix, so that's what the vibe that it's given to me. I know nothing else besides that there's a coven and she's going to this like school and she meets like a vampire-y guy who is the headmaster possibly. So I know there's a book 2 as well that's out. I don't know if that's the final book or if it's, I really don't know much about it. What I have heard was probably from Honest Fiction, and that was a while back. So been on my TBR for a while. I'm interested in finding out how this goes. Next are the ones that I will for sure be reading, and this is for our Mood Reader book club that I co-host with April. And for the month of October, for our fantasy one, we kind of alternate between fantasy and historical. We're going to go, we're reading, I have a few paranormals, like OG paranormals that have been on my TBR. I'm really, really excited about this. This is A Hunger Like No Other by Kresley. I just know that it's a popular vampire series and I know nothing else beside it, but I know that it's well loved. And so I'm just hoping to get on that paranormal train. So this is the time of year that I just love paranormal romances, and so I'm going to ride that wave for as long as it'll take me. I know this is a long series, just like the other series that I really want to pick up is J.R. Ward. I love this cover. It's so campy and I just love it. And there's just something about it, I love it. So I had picked this up at like a library book sale one time, and it's just so cute. So yeah. So our live show will be I will put all the details down below because it's the end of the day. My mind is blanking, but I believe it's going to be the last Thursday or the third Thursday of the month at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're switching it up a little bit for the days. It's going to be on April's channel. I will link that down, all that information down in the description box below. I also have a group of books that I am going to be doing as for a reading vlog as part of the Unstuff Your Kindle collab that we've been doing with Becky from Bex Reads, Brill, and Monica. And this is also open to any booktuber. You can do it on Instagram, on here, on YouTube, or whatever. Just trying to just read books off of our Kindle, whether you got it from Stuff Your Kindle Day or whether you got it from the library or you own it, whatever, and just to help us get through our digital TBR, so to speak. I have 4 books that I have in mind to read. Usually I was just doing like a random number generator thing, and that has not been working for me at all, because I haven't really been able to produce much of a video. Out of the 3 we've done so far, I believe, I've only been able to do 1 because of the other ones have just been DNF, so there was nothing to really talk about. I have 4 in mind. 1 is historical romance, 1 is a couple of fantasies, and 1 is like a mafia romance. So we're going to do a little bit of a mix match, and so if you're interested in watching that video, keep an eye out there. So next I have an ARC, which is really exciting. This is The Road of Bones by Demi Winters. I actually was contacted by the publisher and received it via NetGalley. So I received an email from the publisher for me to read this book. This is book number 1 of the Ashen, and I recently saw Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life was talking about this, and she enjoyed it, and it was already on my TBR anyway to eventually check it out, and I got the e-arc, and that is releasing, I believe, end of this month or by November. I can never remember, but I have it on this month for a reason. I'm sure probably because it's releasing very early in November, so I wanted to make sure. So I know this was I believe this was indie published originally, and then it got picked up, and so this is like the traditionally published version. Really excited. It's fantasy. It's a journey on a road that is like just fraught with like with bandits and things like that, and I think she has to basically work with this bunch of ragtag kind of people, and you know, it's a romantasy and that kind of stuff. So don't know much about it. I kind of like skimming the blurb and just like going into it a little bit blind, so along for the ride. Love the cover though. It's really, really pretty, so I do like the cover, so that's cool. I am finally finishing up this trilogy, Every Last Breath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is book 3 and the Dark Elements, and this is a like YA paranormal, so this is really definitely on trend for the month for the spooky season. This follows like gargoyles, angels, that kind of situation. It's got a little bit of like a love triangle element to it as well. I really have been enjoying it. I was tempted to do another spin the wheel kind of thing. So this is I have a bunch of YA series that I have been wanting to get to, so I've just been and I am a completionist so I want to read them as much as possible back to back. So this has been taking me 3 or 4 months to get to here because I read maybe a book a month, but I did skip a month, so I've been trying to get to finish those, prioritize young adult books as much as possible, so I'm trying to read those. Mood reader, I get distracted very, very easily. So I really do enjoy Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing as well. So that is also why I am gonna try to read and finally get to book 4 of the From Blood and Ash series, The War of Two Queens. Now I am probably speaking verbatim or in nauseam on this, but I'm finally getting to it. I had originally read this on my Kindle that I borrowed on the Libby app that I borrowed from the library, and when I had gotten the hardcovers for the Christmas ones, I wanted to reread them because that was part of the problem why I hadn't picked up this one, is because I felt like it had been like almost more than 6 months and I was forgetting things. It's kind of why I like to keep continuing on so I don't forget. So so I did a whole reread and I had read the first one of the series to kind of read it in the recommended like order, which is like the publishing order from the author. I'm just going straight to this one and then I'll start that sister series, which I am finding that I think I like that sister series from what I read initially. I do know like they're kind of interconnected, like you will get spoiled eventually on certain ones. So I think after reading book 2 of the Flesh and Fire series, I will go back to that recommended reading order. But until then, this one I gotta get through this one first. So I've heard mixed things about this one, and so I've been loving the series, and I'm just hoping that continues. Next I have book 3 of the Fate and Flame series. This is A Queen of Thieves and Chaos by K.A. Tucker. This is another series that I've been focusing on trying to complete. It is, I believe, fully out now. Book 4 was just released, so now I want to get to this and finally complete it. Same thing with the From Blood and Ash thing. I had to like reread them because I was forgetting. So I was intending to read this a lot sooner, but I was starting it and I realized I forgot a lot of things. I was like, wait, where were we? I feel like I was forgetting things. So reread book 1 and 2 earlier, like a couple months ago, and so now I want to pick up this one. I think, oh yeah, book 2 I just read last month. Wow, I feel like the month has gone by that time has no continuum here. So yeah, I reread book 2. Book 2 is still like, it feels like such a 6-star book for me because it has like one of my favorite tropes in it, and it just has a lot of like angst and tension in it, and which I like. So as we know, so looking forward to this. It's like elves and all that kind of situation, fantasy. It's like a portal fantasy as well. She was taken from our world into this world in the body of a elven princess that had, from a warring kingdom that had unalived the hero's parent, and who that body's person was and betrothed to the hero. So it's very complicated for sure. It's been really fun. K.A. Tucker's really primarily known for contemporary romance, but she can write some fantasy romance, and I can't wait. I hope she continues to write more fantasy after I finish the series as well. So I'll definitely be an author that I'd be auto buying for any of her fantasy series for sure. Next, on another series that I'm trying to finish, this is actually a prequel to the series. This is Slaying the Shadow Prince by Helen Shearer, and this is the Fate and Furies prequel. There's a Fate and Flame, Fate and Furies. There's a lot of similar names, but this is a prequel. It can be read any time in the Fate and Furies series. It's a 4-book series, and I think this was actually published after the second one, and this is actually like a series of like standalone like series with other collaborative authors. A part of their series is like prequels or whatever, like novellas, but this is like 400 pages or so it's like a book, so it is interesting. So I am reading this one. I had just finished reading book 3, and I found that there was a character that was introduced that I was like, oh, I probably want to get the background before that character is being introduced into this world. So I wanted to pick this one up so I can have some of that context going into book 4. So yes, I am. This series so far isn't probably my absolute fave. Definitely gonna make the top 10 for this year for sure. And then next in my physical books that I'm maybe hoping to get that I didn't get to during the romance readathon is Radiance by Grace Draven. Now this is the Friends to Lovers, and which, you know, of course, Team Rebel is Friends to Lovers Second Chance. So definitely excited to read this one. I'm hoping to get to this one. I heard I know Becky from Bex Reads like loves this book. It's like her absolute favorite. So I'm just hoping to get to this one. This one is just a rollover from last month. And then I have a couple other books that I am hoping to get to. But as you can tell, I don't have much historicals here. So I read quite a bit of historicals last month for the romance readathon because I was finding such great like gothic romances, and a lot of those can be historicals, which was a lot of fun. So this month I want to get a historical romance in here, but I don't have one in mind yet, so I'm probably gonna mood read that selection. However, there are a couple other types of romance that I don't read that often that I want to read. One is Happy Ever Playlist by Abby Jimenez. Now this is part of the read along that is being hosted by B and a few other booktubers, and I know the live is actually this Sunday. I'm not gonna get to it because it's on hold in my library and it has like 8 to 11 weeks. I have the Libby ebook and the audiobook on hold, and one is on 8 and one's 11 weeks, so we'll see. I won't get to read it in time, and it's probably best that I don't read it at this time of the year because the first book was a little traumatizing. Abby Jimenez's can be like, it's a rom-com-y, but it has like really depth and emotional, like she comes to you with a 1-2 punch that I found that could take you by surprise a little bit. So if you read it during a certain time, it can be a little bit over emotional and not so well for your mental health, I found from last month. So infer from that what you will. But yeah, we'll talk about it later in the recent reads. How about that? We'll get some more context during that, but I won't go too far into detail on that. But yeah, that wasn't expecting that. So now that I know what to expect and I have a little bit better understanding on that, I'm going to prepare myself for when that time is available to read that book. That took way too much to explain, but there we go. Next is something I have on hold from Libby on the audiobook, and I'm hoping that it comes in. I think based on the timing in the queue, I might be able to get it this month, and that, which is perfect because it is by a thriller, so it's the perfect time. This is I want to say more like a super sci-fi thriller and slightly horror on the side of it. This is by S.A. Barnes. It's called Ghost Station. I had read, oh gosh, the other one last year during the summer, and I read the audiobook there too as well. I highly recommend the audiobook. It's such a wonderful reading experience. I had checked out Ghost Station physically from the library, but I just wasn't in the mood at the time because I saw it there. I was like, ooh, but it was a 14-day checkout, so I didn't have the time to read it. And I'm like, I really enjoyed the audiobook experience a lot more because the narrator has that like way of storytelling on this book that I think it gives the character's life and like the atmosphere so much better than I could with my own eyeballs. I don't know how to explain it, but this one I feel like is so much better audiobook, and I'm hoping that Ghost Station would be the same. That is my one mystery thriller that I will read in the year. I never say never, but that's probably the only one I will read in the year, and it's been by that author. I'm sure eventually I'll make my way into there, but there's a reason why I like to read romance. I don't want to be scared and creeped out too much. If I'm going to be creeped out, make it a gothic romance, okay? Because then at least it turns to happy at the end, you know what I mean? Alright, well there you have it. That is all the books that I am hopefully going to read this month. These are all never guaranteed that they're going to happen. there's a reason why I have a book club called Mood Reader Book Club, so if there's any indication, which I think a lot of us are mood readers, so, but there you go. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching. Please let me know in the comments what book you were really excited to read this month. And if you don't have, and you don't want to comment that, but you want to let me know that you were here, please leave me a pumpkin emoji for the Halloween holiday. As always, I will have all of my links down below in the description box, including my Goodreads, Instagram, and Amazon wishlist. And with all of that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.